Today's guest is a clinical social worker who you might say has a radical approach to stepmom life. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this.
Hello. You are catching me in the middle of a big week because this week is the 3rd annual Stepmom Summit. If you're listening and have not gotten your free ticket yet, head over immediately to the stepmomsummit.com/registration to grab it right now. You do not want to miss this. I will also put a link in the show notes for you, but I'm telling you, go sign up now and then come back and listen to me. This year at the summit, which is all virtual, we have 25 of the world's top experts and influencers in stepmom life. And believe me when I tell you that the advice that's given each year and the community that is created over these 3 days is truly unlike anything else. It is literally a life changer. And you're in for a treat today because you are getting a little preview of one of our speakers this year. A speaker that honestly has been requested by a lot of stepmoms the last couple of years. So we were really excited to lock her in this year. And I'm talking about Christina Nelson, host of the Radical Stepmoms Podcast. Christina is a clinical social worker who works in Seattle, Washington. As a stepmom, mom, and wife, she created the Radical Stepmoms Podcast and is passionate about sharing her raw experiences of stepmotherhood to let others know that they're not alone. Christina also provides support for stepmoms and their partners, assisting them in getting unstuck and building the love and life they desire. Now, if you don't listen to her podcast, you might follow her on Instagram, where she is known for raw and relatable and inspirational posts. I'll put all her links in the show notes, along with the link to grab your free ticket to the Stepmom Summit. But for now, let's dive in with Christina. Christina, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is so fun. So I always love to start out and ask for my guests' kind of origin stories. So how did you become a stepmom? What's your background? Give us all the details.
Yeah. So when I met my now husband, I was 26 and, I had graduated from grad school. I was starting my clinical license. I'm a therapist and I was single and without a care in the world. I was living on my own. I was showing up at the gym 6 times a week. I was living my life. And I met him at the gym because that's where I spent most of my time. And we went on one date. And after that, I was like, oh man, I always like to tell him that I didn't know that we were going to be a thing, but I knew after walking away that he was going to be a significant point in my life for the rest of my life. I didn't know in what way, but I just knew. And, he had told me in that first date, I have a 3-year-old son and, we have never, him and his ex have never been married, never been together. It was just kind of this, oops type of thing. And I was like, okay, well, I like kids. Which
how hard can it be, right?
We all go in kids are cool. Yeah, I can hang with a kid. And it was very quickly that we, moved in together. We were married within the next year. We bought a house, and I was full on parenting. And at 26, I was not anticipating, jumping into all of that stuff. So, that was a while ago now. My stepson is now 12, and we have gone through the highs and lows of, trying to blend. And I don't even really like blended. I feel like there's a lot of pressure behind that. Just trying to figure out my role as it's ever changing, as my stepson changes. And just trying to.
And now you're facing those teenage years straight ahead.
The preteen attitude already is just, and
terrible.
Him and I have a great and him and I have a great relationship. And it's like, I get my feelings hurt because I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And my husband has to continue to tell me, like, honey, this is just him. This is just life. Yeah. This is just being a parent to a preteen. You've done nothing wrong. Because I always internalize it and go, oh my gosh, I need to adjust something in my stepmom role, or, I'm doing, and he's just, you're doing great. You're a part of the club, honey.
It is. When they get to that age, it's hard to sort of figure out like what's a function of the step family and what's like just normal teenage assholery.
I feel like that's something that we have to, like, no matter what, pull up as is this normal family life or is this blended life? And even in our relationships, I'm like, is this a normal marriage hiccup, or is this because we're navigating extra things? And
yeah, totally.
It's a forever.
And that's something, I know I always talk to people, and I think you do too, about like, you can sort of anticipate what step family life is going to bring into your life and like what it's going to be like, but you never really know until you're like way knee deep in all the mud.
Totally.
When you were a new stepmom, what were some of the things that really surprised you, caught you off guard, that you struggled with?
Yeah, I think, there are, when I talk to new stepmoms, right, it's always going off of my own experience and what, I did going into it. And then talking to hundreds of other stepmoms that are like, oh my God, I did the same thing. Right. And I feel like it all comes down to this, like, feeling that we can do it, right? And that we can jump in. I got this. And we do that because we are confident people and we can recognize our skills, we can recognize our assets and what we can bring to the table. I came in going, all right, I've never been a parent before, but I have a background in child education. I have a background in all that. Like, I've hung out with kids. I can do this. And then it kind of trickles into going in, feeling like you have to prove yourself, feeling like if I don't show this person that I can hang out with kids, this isn't going to work. So not only are you, trying to navigate that dating relationship and just be a normal person who's dating, but you're also trying to show up as, I can hang with kids. I can be a parent. I can do this. And that's really overwhelming. And I feel like one of the things that I know I did, which if I could go back, I would slow it down, is I was kind of riding that parent line a little too hard or confidently. And it was never like, I say this to my husband and he's like, I don't think you did anything wrong. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I was helping you.
Yeah.
You were excited to have other hands on deck. You were excited to, which is what contributed to him and I, getting married and stuff, is how well I came into it. But at the same time, in focusing really on the parenting stuff, there were a lot of relationship things that my husband and I had to figure out later because we didn't have those conversations. And then it was figuring out later that, oh, maybe I'm actually not comfortable with this. And I decided to jump in and do it at the beginning because I thought I would. So it's this backtrack. And all the while I lost a lot of myself in those first few years because I went full in relationship, trying to figure out my stepmom role. And that girl that I was who, was super into working out or super into hanging out with, my friends. And I kind of left her there. Mm-hmm. And at some point, after a couple of years, I realized that, and it came out as resentment, right? But I was the one responsible for making all those decisions. It was completely on me. I was 100% participant in all the decisions we made. And I had to go, oh, okay, I've left her and I need to go find her again because I'm not just my partner's partner and I'm not just my stepson's stepmom. I'm also
But that's
me.
so common, right? I mean, I feel
common.
like we put so much pressure on ourselves to like come into whatever the situation looks like and be this like positive influence and do all the things perfectly. And, and then when we fall short, because of course we're going to fall short, we're like so hard on ourselves and it can send us into like this tailspin,
Yeah. I think you said that perfectly in that like we go into it, right? Because there's already been this pre-established family. And I feel like a lot of stepmoms go into that feeling pretty helpless or powerless. And in the work that I do with stepmoms, especially new stepmoms, I want them to feel empowered when they go into this new relationship. I want them to feel empowered knowing that certain things do happen, that these are the situations that often come up. Here's how, here's several tools on how to manage it. And knowing that they're not crazy, that they're not alone, and that they have a voice. Because I think, like you said, we go in and we get swallowed up by everyone's expectations. We take them on as our own, when really we can go in and say, hey, let's talk about these expectations, right?
100%.
So do you really want me to do the X, Y, and Z? Or I don't really feel comfortable doing this. Or, the biggest thing that I asked my partner probably way too far in our relationship was, how do you view my role as a stepmom? I'd never asked him. And his answer was completely different than what I anticipated. And I was like, wow, we got
to do some work.
I need a drink is what I need. I was not ready. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I think I did the same thing. I think I got into it and kind of realized that I was making mistakes and things weren't, I was wanting everything. My husband actually, adopted the Pinterest perfect phrase because I was like trying to have these like, dinners on the table and throw these elaborate birthday parties because everything had to be perfect. And he's like, you don't need to be Pinterest perfect. Like stop with all the Pinterest stuff. Like they don't care. Like you need to just be you. And we had a couple of hiccups and we sat down and had the same discussion. And I was like, well, I felt like when I came into this, you wanted this like equal partner co-parent, but I feel like now that I'm in it, that's not what I should be. Like it should look different than that. And we had to like have some hard conversations about what my role was going to look like and like how we were all going to fit together. And it's not easy stuff, right? It's hard.
Yeah. And in those conversations, right, you're wrapping up emotions like guilt and resentment. And you're worried about your partner, you're worried about the kids. And if you're making shifts that are really big shifts, is my stepkid going to notice? Is, my partner my husband and I talk about disengaging all the time. And he really struggles with it because he feels like he's being left alone and that he is having to do things that he thought there was a partnership. And he mentioned recently, we did an episode together where he said, I'm resentful. And he recognizes that this is his stuff. But he's like, it's a real feeling that you get to walk away from some responsibilities and I can't. Like, I have to deal with her.
100%.
I have to do this no matter what. And that sucks for me. And so, I think that type of really hard conversation and those feelings really prevent the stepmom from getting real and getting dirty and admitting that maybe this isn't what I want to be doing, or maybe this is not how I want to be showing up, because our partners are relying on us so much. So when you're a new stepmom, it's like, girl, have that conversation earlier and set the expectations, and you're a part of it. You have an equal voice on what you, and then, there's sometimes when maybe it's not going to work out. Maybe the partner is like, no, I want someone. And if you are, again, empowered and you are self-aware and you can articulate, yes and no, you are so much better off. And being able to say, yeah, maybe this isn't what's best for me, instead of 6 years down the line.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to remember, is that developing that confidence in what your role should be and where you can best contribute and what that should all look like. And then, figuring out if your partner's on board. I think it is really hard for our partners. And I know I had the same conversations with my husband. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to always be the bad guy, but I'm like, look, I shouldn't be the one doing the discipline. Mm-hmm. Like, that sets up a really bad dynamic. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that at first, but once I did, I was like, okay, I gotta step back and like let you do this. And I think same thing. Like, he and I went into the marriage thinking that we wanted to be equal partners in parenting and everything else, and he sort of felt like, well, wait a minute, is this setting up a dynamic where we're not really equal partners anymore? And we had to kind of tough out that conversation, but you're right. Being able to really take kind of an objective look at your own situation and discover what that should look like, and then be able to articulate it and stay confident in that choice,
Yeah. There will be pushback
and hope that your partner comes along. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think too, as we're talking about stepmom roles and stuff like that, like we're talking about making shifts, to remember that this is all kind of fluid. And that, just as I was sharing, my stepson is at an age now where I'm having to adjust how I show up. And that's okay. That concept right there would have threw me several years ago, because I needed structure. I needed to know exactly how I need to show up so I can, it kind of soothed my anxiety at the time. But now I understand that things are going to ebb and flow, and him and I are going to have a great relationship. We're going to have our things. We're going to have, the ways that we connect, and I continue to invest in that relationship. I also know that he sees me as a parent, and he's going to treat me like one, for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. And that means, showing, him giving me attitude when I tell him, dude, you need to clean your room, or whatever it is. Right. But that it's okay if it fluctuates. And instead of thinking, oh my gosh, this isn't working anymore, what's happening? Like, I must be doing something wrong, or he hates me, or, whatever. It is going, okay, what's changed? What's different? I guess one of the other bigger things, right, that we do as early stepmoms is we take everything personally.
Oh my gosh.
Everything personally. We take everything to heart. And so often it's not about us. It is, but it's not really. It's about the other person, or, the other parts, the other moving parts. And I think we have to, though I, never want to say, stepmom, get used to feeling like a doormat. That's never it. But I think we have to say, when certain things come up, let's not take it personally, and look at the bigger picture, and see, what's really going on, because it will preserve our feelings a lot more.
Well, I love that. And I think that doing that also can allow you to develop some empathy for, if it's an issue with the child acting out or something, if you can take a step back and look at the bigger picture and like, okay, well, what do they have going on in their life right now? Mm-hmm. How might that be making them feel? Oh, and by the way, your stepson is 12. He doesn't know how to deal with his emotions.
Right.
Tell me any 12-year-old boy that is able to like tell you what's really going on in their mind.
Right. And that's when the parenting comes in.
Or girl, for that matter.
Yeah. And that's when the parenting comes in, right?
And that's where you get to take a step back and say, okay, not about me.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's really hard to do that because I think you're right. I still have to remind myself not to take things personally. And my husband still reminds me not to take things personally. Like something will happen. And I mean, I've got a high school senior, the stepdaughter now, and she'll, go off and do something that hurts my feelings. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Does she just not like me anymore? And she and I are really close. And, Craig will be like, okay, she wants to hang out with her friends. Like, you need to, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think too, you had said something. What was it? Not taking it personally. Oh, I lost it. But going off of the getting your feelings hurt. Yeah, I think same thing. I had invited, I thought it'd be really cool because my stepson loves Imagine Dragons. And I'm like, oh, buddy, when you get old enough, we should go to a concert together. And he's like, no. And I was just crushed. And I'm thinking, immediate thought, I was thinking, oh, he would probably rather go with his mom. Or, I just felt super vulnerable and because that would feel like a really big thing for me to have that responsibility of taking him to a concert. And I was like, oh, can I ask why? And he's like, I just don't like a lot of loud noises. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, duh.
This is a little hard.
My kid is so sensory. And I mean, even when, I remember when he turned 4 and it was his birthday, we sang happy birthday and he had his hands over his ears because it was too loud. And I kind of kicked myself. I was like, you dummy. Of course. That's why would you suggest a concert for him? So again, it wasn't about me. It was completely about him. And I'm like, all right. And so my husband was like, see, it's not, it's just, but that's where we go. That's where our heads go. For a lot of different reasons, I feel.
I think that's totally right. Okay, so you're speaking at the Stepmom Summit, which is coming up in, as of this recording, it's in a week and a half, but when this is released, it'll be this week. So without spoiling it for the many stepmoms that are attending, give us a quick and dirty preview of what they are going to learn from you.
We talk about, just as we're talking about today, kind of expectations, but we're talking about the expectations with the ex. So we're talking about how we go in and we have this idea of what that relationship is going to look like and what happens when that kind of blows up. And we are not actually, greeted with arms wide open and wearing matching jerseys and showing up, right? And then, on my platform, I talk to a lot of stepmoms who have really intense situations and relationships with the ex, and difficult issues. And so Beth and I kind of unravel what is the difference between just having disagreements with the ex and what is actually high conflict, and how do we manage that?
Oh, I love that. I love that because high conflict, that term is so easy to throw around.
Oh, yeah.
And, and honestly, sometimes you're the high conflict one.
Absolutely.
Controversial opinion,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is, I bring that up too, in our discussion, in that we have to take responsibility for how we're showing up and why, right? I think one of the bigger things that I did, looking back as a new stepmom, with that urge to prove myself, right? I was showing up in certain places just to show up and to prove that I'm here and I'm not going anywhere and I'm around and you need to accept me. And though, it is different and better now, I would absolutely understand why then the ex would be kind of just like, what is, so I had to understand, all right, I know why I was doing it, but that was pretty feisty and unnecessary. And I think that is where we really have to check ourselves. Yeah.
I think that's so true. And I love, you said this earlier in the discussion, but I love that you reinforced that all of these feelings are normal. And I think that we have, I think part of the reason that the Stepmom Summit has been so successful is that we're bringing together stepmoms who it can be such a lonely position. And you wonder like, oh my God, is anybody else dealing with this? And then, they join the summit, they get into the Facebook group, they get into the chats with the speakers, and they're like, holy cow, there's this community of women who like understand what I'm talking about. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible feeling because you use the word lonely. It's isolating, and it makes you question. It's a spiraling feeling where it makes you question all of your decisions and what you're doing, and if it's all your fault. And there are times I'm working with a stepmom, and she'll say one thing, and I will go down the whole and I imagine you're feeling this, and she's just on the other end going, oh my God, you nailed it. And I'm like, I know. And though it sucks, right? Though it sucks that I know it so well, it's also, I want you to feel, validated and empowered that this is so common, that I have a whole workshop on it, right? This is so common that there are tools and ways that this is your light at the end of the tunnel where you can feel, you can walk away from it going, okay, I've got stuff. And the summit, being able to provide that for people. And I imagine, it's saving sanity. It's saving relationships. It's awesome.
Well, I think that's exactly what you're doing, and really appreciate you spending the time today to talk with me and with my listeners. And I think that, the light at the end of the tunnel is a great metaphor. I think that, it can feel really dark and lonely. And I think that, providing some hope and a little dose of realism and some, candid advice is really helpful for stepmoms. So thank you for all that you do and for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'll make sure for all the stepmoms listening, you can go to the show notes. I will drop all of Christina's information there if you want to find her and, her links to her website and her podcast and all of her services. So thank you so much, Christina. This was so great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.